So please help me welcome at this time. You know them as Gil Hicks, Jim Hicks, Dante Hicks, Grant Hicks. Please help me welcome at this time, Bryan O'Halloran.
Thank you. Give it up for Milo, everybody. Oh, you could do better than that. Give it up for Milo. He doesn't have multiple names like the characters I played, but, you know, I hear lots of other names called, but that's usually 5 drinks in some back room at some place in the convention hall. Hey, you, blah, blah, blah.
Has anybody done a family tree on the Hicks family?
Funny enough, Kevin has released a line of comics. I think he's working with Black Horse, and they're doing quick stops, which are short stories in a comic form. So I think it's issue 4, which is out, does the Hicks family reunion. So you get to see all the Hicks at a family reunion, and I think the Randall character tries to hit on one of my cousins or something. It's supposed to be pretty funny. So they did, the artist who did the cover art did like the Breakfast Club pose from the cover, but with all the Hicks and then Randall. It's pretty funny. It's pretty epic.
That's fantastic.
So if your local comic book shop gets the Quick Stops line of comics, definitely it's worth a buy. Otherwise, Kevin sells it on his website.
That's fantastic. Now, show of hands, how many here have seen Clerks 3? All right. How many have not seen Clerks 3? Okay, so if you do have questions, no spoilers, right?
No, you could spoil it. These people fucking wasting their time waiting.
It's
been out since September, bitches. Catch up. Catch up. I gotcha. By the way, the Mandalorian dies last episode. Oh, shit. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Hey, kidding. He'll never die.
So how are you, man?
I'm good. It's good to be back here in Richmond. The last time I was in this building, within weeks, the entire world shut down. So 2020 was the last time I was here. It's good to see that this weekend we blew out records. Tomorrow is completely sold out. We were very close to selling out today. Sunday is very close to being sold out. So Richmond and the surrounding area is turning out, man. In your face, Raleigh. Just kidding.
Yeah, you
What, you're from Raleigh? Yeah, fuck. Maryland? Yeah, see, you come on out. We were like, whoa, is it a crab fucking festival? No, it's just Comic-Con. Oh, just kidding.
Yeah, you've been a part of the GalaxyCon / SuperCon family for a long time, right?
Me and the owner of the con go back to his days of just doing shows in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yes, where one of the first times, this is how far back I go, the big, huge guests to have at Comic-Cons were all the Harry Potter kids. And so we were at a hotel, it was like, and that was the other thing, it was a hotel show, it wasn't like a convention center show. And we were at a hotel, I think it was like the Buena Vista something in Fort Lauderdale, country club or whatever. And at one of these after parties after the show, I get invited out to the hotel hot tub. It's like a 20-person hot tub, and I'm sitting in the hot tub, and it's, besides the major 3 Harry Potter kids, it's like all the other Harry Potter kids in this hot tub, and just me, and I'm like, what the fuck, where? And the other thing too is like, number 1, I know I'm gonna hear it, never read any of the books, nor have I seen any of the movies. Just didn't interest me at the time. I was just like, Lord of the Rings, bitch. No, I'm just kidding. Which was funny because, and I said that to the entire hot tub full of them, and they were like, awesome! Oh my God, you won't bother us with questions. I'm like, no, not at all. And they're all from England and the UK and stuff, and so you're allowed to drink at the age of 18 over there, but when they got here, they were not 21 yet, and they were just like, I was like, you need drinks? Hang on a second. Dude, go get them drinks. I wasn't going to buy them drinks. I'm a citizen. I'll be arrested. They'll just be deported to where they can drink. So yeah, I've known him that long. It's been a good run, and I've even done some of his other shows that he branched out to Atlanta once, which was not a good run for him. But it's good that he's doing these shows. He's now branching out. He branched out to here. He's going to branch out to Austin in September. I hear other stories of other cities that he's going to branch out to, which is awesome. You know, so I'm glad that the people are turning out. He is the best programmer when it comes to these things. So many things. I mean, this building is going to be open until 2 a.m. both tonight and tomorrow night of just activities. So it's crazy. Like if I was a parent, I'd be like, drop my kid off here at noon, and then pick them up at 2 a.m. and then me and the spouse have some con time ourselves. We just conned our kids into getting out of the house. And it's now Comic-Con's fucking babysitting us. So it's fun. That's what I love about it. There's so many things. There's going to be tonight, I'll be at 8 o'clock, I'll be on the main stage with Steve Whitmire and his Cave-In Goes to Outer Space show. I think we have John Rhys Davies as one of our guests. Yeah, Barry Bostwick's going to be. It's going to be like, I guess, a Tonight Show with puppets.
Right, exactly.
And I guess I'm the Andy Richter of the fucking thing. So, by the way, if you're a fan of my work, it's a rated R work. There's a lot of cursing, so if you don't want any kids hearing some language or questions that you want to have a long car ride home, now's your time to fucking flee, or we're going to be, otherwise, don't go to them like, I can't believe you were at a Bryan O'Halloran Clerks panel. Come on. Anyway.
You recently, within the past couple of years, did a movie. You had a part in. You might have some. You might...
Bring it on in. Sorry, I had a delivery made. I was like, I gotta go there. It's important. Thank you. Right on. Cheers. What'd you get me? Vienna Lager. What the? I said local. Hey. As close as I could find. That's closest. Vienna. All right. Sounds good. Sure. Vienna, Virginia? Right on. For a second, I thought the same people that make the sausages, right? Anyway. Brewed in the USA. Devil's Backbone Brewing Company. Wow. Devil's Backbone. For a second, I was like, Devil's Back what? Devil's Backside beer. Now, that'd be something. It's the sweat off the devil's backside. You'll never drink like it again.
How is it?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I like it. Thank you. All
right. So you had a part in a film of one of my all-time favorite people, Siobhan Fallon Hogan, in a movie called Rushed, where you portrayed a priest,
an Irish priest, opposite Siobhan and T2 himself.
Yeah. I'm blanking on the name.
Patrick. Robert.
Yeah, Robert Patrick.
Robert Patrick. Yeah. He was great to work with. Siobhan is a beautiful and talented artist herself. I got to work with her. She did a season of SNL back in the days of Eddie Murphy and stuff like that. She was a cast member. But she's also, if you watched Forrest Gump, and when Forrest has his kid, which played by Haley Joel Osment, before he saw Dead People, when he puts his son on the bus driver's like, "You going to get on the bus or what?" That's Siobhan. That's her big breakout movie role. But yeah, she's based in New Jersey. We were both at the Garden State Film Festival. They were honoring me with the Jersey Spirit Award. Not acting, just, you got Jersey spirit in you. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, I'll take it. Gets me a dinner and shit. Why not? I got up there to accept the award, and I thought a very funny fucking thank you speech that just clicked in her head, and she's like, oh my God, because I went into my Irish accent impersonation because I had my mother with me. So I was talking about, it's the first time I brought my mom to a film festival, blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, oh, we got to talk. I have a role in this movie. Could you do the Irish accent in it? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it at the bar in like 20 minutes, in a second. Here, just give me a couple of drinks. So yeah, she offered me this role in this movie about a fraternity that has a hazing incident, and the parents of one of the pledge who dies from an alcohol poisoning gets her revenge, so to speak, on the fraternity brothers. It's a really cool movie.
It's a great movie, absolutely.
Yeah, so I play their parish priest.
So what was it like? What was it like donning, the robe and being a priest, somebody who you would,
Well, it's one of the movies my mother was like, finally you're doing a job of a beautiful character. None of that dirty talk and that stupid Kevin Smith stuff. Because, the saying goes, Jewish parents want their kids to become doctors and lawyers. Irish moms want their kids to become, like, priests and popes and bishops and stuff. And they're like, really, Mom? That's where you want me to go? I'm kind of living that same life. I'm living the life of poverty as an actor, so, that kind of works along with the Christ, and we're always praying to God, please, can I get this role? So I guess I'm doing all that. The touching of kids thing, we haven't done that yet, so nor do I have that too. And if you're Catholic and you're all insulted, please sit down, relax. It's all jokes, people.
One thing some folks might not know about you is that you are a theater guy at heart, correct?
Well, that's how I started. I was doing theater since I was a teenager, did the high school plays, then went into community theater, and was doing community theater for about 2 or 3 years when Kevin went to one of the community theaters that I worked out of and asked the owner, I'm looking to audition people for this movie I'm going to make, and you are the local talent pool, so to speak, of theaters. Can I use your theater to audition people in? And this is before the internet and before everybody had cell phones, where you literally would put in a newspaper on Wednesdays. The audition notices would be in the arts and entertainment section of upcoming productions in the local area. So he reached out to this theater owner. The theater owner then called us all and said, hey, in a month these guys are auditioning for this film. You're about the same age they're looking for. You should come down and audition. I was like, what do they need? They needed a monologue and a headshot. I'm like, okay, cool. A month goes by. They were auditioning on a Sunday night and a Monday evening because there was no evening shows at the theater and there was no shows at all on Mondays. And I totally forgot. I was doing a show at another theater and was just not in the mindset about, oh, a month later I got to do that thing. Because once again, we don't have phones that tell us everything when we have to be somewhere. So the Monday morning I get a phone call, and it's from the owner, Joe Bagnol, who's the guy who's in front of the cat pooping in the first film, and then makes a reprisal in the third film. He's the actual owner of the theater. He called me. He's like, Bryan, I thought you were coming in to audition for these guys for the film. I mean, I'm listening to what they're saying, and it sounds like you'd be perfect for it, kind of a thing. I'm like, oh shit, I totally forgot. That's tonight again, right? He goes, yeah. So I came in that night. I did this monologue of a serious play that I was doing called Wait Until Dark. And I did a monologue from that, and he really liked what I did. If anybody has the 10-year anniversary edition of Clerks, Clerks X, there's an extra DVD that has like all these type of extras, one of which is the auditions of all of us. And so, by the way, it's a perfect thing to watch if you want to know not what to do in an audition. I kept turning my back on them and everything. But it was so evil and villainous. I remember Kevin going like, oh man, I wish I had a villain in this movie. You'd be perfect. Because in my theater world, that's what I was. I was cast more of like the cutthroat, the murderer, the very threatening kind of person. I did comedies, but not the oh woe's me kind of bitchy, whiny kind of comedy. I was more the fall down slapstick kind of comedy stuff. So it was that type of thing that he brought me back twice to do reading opposite him, and we read the independent contractors scene about the stormtroopers. And he's like, what do you think? I'm like, oh, this shit's funny, because I didn't read the script. He didn't have us read from the script at the audition. We just came in with our monologue. It wasn't until the callbacks that we got to read the script or see parts of the script. And I loved it, and I was happy to be a part of it, and here we are, going almost 30 years now. That we would be filming right now 30 years ago in 1993, the original Clerks. This is the time of year we started filming. So it's weird, here we are 30 years later in Richmond, Virginia, talking about, hey, about that movie you first got. But it started from theater, and I think anybody getting into acting should all just start in theater because it gives you the discipline of learning to A, be calm in front of a live audience, get that feel, that rush of it. 2, it helps you have to memorize an entire play from start to finish because there's no in front of a live audience. And another, stop. Like, can we do that again? Like, that's fucking embarrassing. You can't do that. But it also, you can learn other things like lighting design, set design, painting, makeup, all that type of stuff. So it's the good, hard knocks of wanting to do something in acting.
Have you pitched to Kevin a View Askew Universe musical?
There was, years ago, there was some theater group in like Glasgow, Scotland, who did a musical version. Kevin got wind of it, and he had his lawyers put a cease and desist order because like, no, we're not doing that. I remember when he was first thinking of the idea of doing Clerks 2, he had seen Alan Rickman in a play on Broadway, and he thought to himself, like, oh, what if I made Clerks 2 a play, like and just shot off an email to Jeff Anderson, who was reluctant in general to do a sequel. But then when he said, like, hey, man, would you do a Clerks 2 as a play? And he's like, I know you smoke weed, but now you've moved on to crack? I'm like, no, absolutely not. So recently, while we were filming Clerks 3, he's been tooling around with this composer and this other writer of perhaps doing a Clerks musical. But the last I heard, I don't know where it's going. To put on a musical in New York City is at minimum $11 million startup cost. It's ridiculous. I don't know why. And I'm in the industry. I'm like, where is that fucking money going? Like, someone is getting a skim off of that, because how is it that expensive to have people? But it's a lot of union jobs, and it's in a building in the middle of Manhattan. Rents are stupid high. That's why you'll see things like, it's Tony Award-winning show such and such. 2 weeks later, closes. Like, you won a Tony, and it's hard to do these days.
Now there's everyone's tweeting right now. Kevin Smith is making a Clerks.
No, he's talked about it out front, so I'm not talking about anything he hasn't told himself. So so go ahead.
So one of the popular things right now is taking movies and putting them on and making Broadway versions. Back to the Future, Beetlejuice, Mean Girls. Are there any movies, favorite movies of yours, that you would like to see possibly make that transition to the theater, to a musical?
Wow. It would be interesting to see an Empire Strikes Back. I cut off your hand. He cut off my hand. No! Like, I don't know. I think that'd be kind of funny. Just a fucking crazy musical version of some sort of Star Wars thing. Like, you see it all the time, these fan videos of some stuff like that, and that'd be just funny. Yoda comes on, but all the lyrics are like backwards and shit. Like, there is no do, there's no try, there's only do. Yeah. It sounds like someone who's been stoned incredibly long. You know what, bro? I got it. Empire Strikes Back, the musical. Come on, man, come on. You'd have to wait for them to serve edibles at the concession for that one. If you want the full effect of this show, the edibles in the back, they're $25. Enjoy.
Something that Kevin has also talked about is, working on a possible sequel to Mallrats. Do you see Gil Hicks in a sequel role?
Oh, I think Gil Hicks is in there like a jackhammer. I just want to try to grow out a smooth mullet like he had in the first one, and just go through it again. Also, I just hands down just want to work with Jason Lee yet again. Jason Lee in general is such a funny guy in general, and sweetheart of a guy. He's down in Lexington at Lexington Toy Fair this weekend. He's just been signed by our agency just earlier this year, and I think it's only his third show that he's out signing things. So that's the type of thing that I would love to do. So I know Kevin has an outline about it. Kevin is always he's a victim of premature annunciations. Yeah. Like, he gets like really high and he's like, we're making Mallrats 2. He literally had, God rest his soul, Stan Lee hold the 2, because that was going to be the next film. Like, the Clerks 3 kind of died on the vine. Like, we weren't going to do it because of issues with producers that were going to be involved in other things. And so he's like, well, I'm just going to move on to Mallrats 2. And then Universal said, no, you're not. And he was like, oh, fuck. But since then, since the success of both Jay and Silent Bob Reboot and Clerks 3, the Universal Studios people have come around, so to speak. So we're still in the final stages of nailing that down and getting it actually fully greenlit, but we're ready. He's got a script ready to go, and it's going to be a film. I know it was bantied back and forth where he said, oh, I'm doing a 10-episode series stuff like that, but I think this is going to be a full-fledged sequel. And everybody who was from the first one who he's asked has all said, like, yeah, we're back. So I look forward to seeing, the likes of like Shannon Doherty, and be interesting to see if Ben Affleck's character gets paroled from prison. things like that.
I want to see LaForest come back.
LaForest, what a great guy, LaForest. That actor is such a great actor. Yeah.
He was like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he was. If you've seen the early movies of Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was always in. He was a good friend of Arnold's, and Arnold put him in a lot of his early work. He was phenomenal in Conan the Barbarian. So he's a really great guy.
So if you guys do have some questions, feel free to start lining up. Before we get to that, before we get to that, I do want to ask a favorite question of mine, and that is, whether it is at a convention, whether it's at a table next to you in the green room, on a movie set, has there been a time where you fanboyed out? You saw somebody and either you couldn't speak or you spoke way too much?
Speaking way too much, I'm not a victim of that. I enjoy speaking way too much. But actually babbling in front of people, no. I remember when we did the Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back premiere in LA, they had an outdoor kind of food trucks and tables and stuff in an empty lot that was adjacent to the Fox Cinema in Westwood in LA. And as everybody knows, Cockknocker, played by Mark Hamill, was there, and I remember he was just, we were all in these big areas, an area about as big as this ballroom, and there'd be tables over there, and food truck there selling, not selling, but handing out burgers, another one here, and blah, 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 and there's bars and stuff. And I remember I was at a table with some friends who I had invited for the premiere, and my girlfriend's with me, and we're just talking, and imagine, like, Mark is behind me, and I hear, "Bryan!" Of course I look, and and literally, I did the movie thing where I was just like, I looked this way and I looked back to him and went, he's like, "Bryan, come here." And I'm like, in my head, as I'm walking that way, I'm like, holy shit, Luke Skywalker's summoning me to his table. And I went over to his table. It's like, "Bryan, have you met my son? He's a huge fan of the show, of the movies and stuff like that." I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." I'm like, "Mark," and blah, blah, blah. So there's a picture of all of us together and stuff. And that's where I was just like, holy shit, how did I wind up in a movie that also Mark Hamill's involved in? The other time was working on Dogma as Grant Hicks, the news reporter. And it was like within the first 3 days of the whole production shoot, I got to get on set and was in the makeup trailer, and just 2 chairs over is George Carlin. And he's literally, if there's a Mount Rushmore of comedy, he's definitely one of the carved faces in the Mount Rushmore of comedy for me. And so being able to sit there and he's like, "Hey, kid, who are you from?" And I was like, funny enough, originally from the Bronx, not too far from where you grew up. He's like, "No shit." And we're talking and stuff, and I knew that he was involved in the movie, and we had filmed it in Pittsburgh. So when going out there, I had bought his latest book at the time, which was called Brain Droppings, which is it's an easy read. It's just him just taking subjects and just firing off his opinion, so it's worth reading. So I had bought the book, and I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm a big fan of yours. Ever since I was a kid, I actually was listening to your comedy way too early for when I should have, but hey, I turned out all right, right?" He's like, "Cool, man, cool." And I was like, as a matter of fact, and into my backpack, I was like, "Do you mind? I brought your latest book." He's like, "Holy shit, you read too?" I'm like, "Yeah." So he's like, "Here." So he signed it from one New York kid to another. And then at the time, Polaroid was doing a switchover. Not your standard Polaroids. They were doing the strips. Yep. And what you do with hair and makeup, and this is before digital cameras, they would take a photo of you in full costume and your makeup so that for continuity, if you're filming that same character but over multiple days of real life, but it's only like within hours in the movie, for continuity's sake, they want to make sure they have the hair right, the suit right, all that jazz. So he's like, "You want to take a photo?" I'm like, "Do I?" So the hair and makeup person with her Polaroid's like, "Yeah, I'll take the photo for you." And so there's a photo of me and George Carlin as him in his Cardinal Glick and me as Grant Hicks. And that strip photo is the bookmark to that book. Yeah. It chokes me up every time I tell that story because he was such a good guy.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. Hello, what's your name?
My name is Chris.
Hey, Chris.
So,
would you like me to hurry along this Q&A? That'd be just great.
We need to talk about your TPS reports.
There you
Did
go.
you get that memo?
There you go.
But my question is, Kevin Smith is really known to be kind of like jovial, kind of like a comic personality in most interviews and videos you see. Working with him on set, was he like that as a director, or was he a lot of times kind of putting on the director hat and say, hey, fuckers, we need to get down to business kind of a thing?
Kevin Smith on set is a fun guy. He's really fun to be with. Obviously, I've worked with him his entire film career. I've known him from the very beginning and to where he is when we just shot last year, Clerks 3, or the year before rather. And he is a lot of fun. His sets are very low key, lots of relax. If something's going wrong that really pushes the wrong way we're going, he will be stern and be like, yo, this is not what I said. I didn't want that as the background. Why is that over there? He knows what he wants as a director. But for the most part, he hires the people he trusts to work with. That's why a lot of times you'll see people like Spike Lee and Scorsese and stuff, they use the same DP, they'll use the same makeup person, they'll use, because we have this unspoken trust of each other that I know what I'll get out of O'Halloran. Oh, I know what I'll get out of Muse. I know what I'll get out of Dave Klein as our DP. Like, he knows who he can get and what they can get out of it. So that's why a lot of people will work with the same people again and again and again. So I always have fun on his sets. Jay always has fun on his sets. But there are people who are hired for the first time with him who are like, you know, oh my God, they get all tense, like, I'm working for Kevin Smith, this is crazy, kind of a thing. And then they see Kevin Smith working, like, what? Why was I so fucking nervous? This guy is like chill, it's really cool. You know, herbal supplements help him a lot in that category. Which, by the way, apparently he's going cold turkey. He's been like clean from the herb for about, I think it's now going on 8 weeks. So I just saw him recently. There was a Clerks open all night marathon at his theater in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, the Smod Castle Cinemas. If you get a chance, it's a wonderful place. So they started at 11 o'clock at night and showed all 3 Clerks films till 6 in the morning. Yeah, that was crazy. And him not on weed that entire time was like, ooh, boy, are you gonna make it? He's like, yeah, I'm good. He's lost a ton of weight too. He's super thin now and stuff. So it's good to see him, you know, being all tapped into real life. And we'll see how long this lasts. But I hope he does. I hope he works it out. And I can't wait to work on a Mallrats 2 or a Clerks 4 if it happens, or the Clerks cartoon series is kind of the thing I'm pushing him to go to. Thank you. I think, I think visually we're starting to become like, ooh, really? You're putting these people on film again? But our voices, especially these fucking lines I see from these voice actors out there, I'm like, what the fuck? They're just a voice. Why do you want their autograph? No, I'm just kidding. I kid. I'm next to Marty, who's Courage the dog. Has anybody gone up to his table? You could probably hear him from here. He's loud as fuck. It's hilarious. Like, he records videos for people, but he's been very polite. He goes into the middle of the aisle and records their loud video right there, so he's not right next to me doing it. I'm like, you're fine, dude. I grew up in an Irish household. We were screaming at each other all the time. So we just went into a screaming match. Like, he thought he could get louder than me, and I started getting louder, and then getting really louder, and then to the point where we thought there was a fight going on with us. And I was like, I won! And then everybody's like, yeah! But so the cartoon is where I'd like to go to next. But thank you. It's chill. To get back to your question, it's a chill atmosphere.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. That'd be great. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So I haven't seen very many of your movies.
Because you're 12? You look very young.
Not quite.
Okay.
I'm older than that, but
Okay.
I probably wouldn't be allowed by my parents. But what have you been in, like, what shows have you like theatrically? Because you said you did like theater stuff and.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Theatrically, productions I've done a production of the 2 different versions of the production of Dracula numerous times. I was not Dracula. I was Renfield for all 3 productions. That's the role I connect to. It's a very sad character who gets overtaken by Dracula, but in the end he's kind of the hero figure because he saves Mina or Lucy, whatever the main character is in whatever version of the script's going on. So I enjoyed doing that. I've done musicals, like I've done Godspell and Fiddler on the Roof and Bye Bye Birdie and things like that. So those productions are fun. There's other dramatic kind of pieces I've done, like there's a play called The Dresser about an English troupe of actors doing Shakespeare during World War II in England. There was a movie called The Dresser as well with Albert Finney, very amazing movie too. I played Norman the Dresser in that. I've been in Charlotte's Web where I played Templeton the Rat. So I've done quite a bit of really great theater that I enjoy, and like I said early on, it's definitely a great foundation to go on and do other acting. I think it's a great way to build camaraderie amongst a cast, because everybody's reliant on everybody on stage at the same time. If someone else messes up, you got to be like that shortstop and pick up the ball and make sure we throw it to first to get it back on track. I once was part of a play where the dude for the start, it's a 3-act play, the dude started Act 2 with the dialogue that started Act 3, and him and the co-star doing the third. I'm like, they're doing the third act, and I don't come on in the second act for like the first 4 minutes of the play, and then I come on. But once they started doing third act lines, I'm like, what the fuck? Because it's about a wedding that eventually happens. So I run on and I'm like, so I hear you guys are getting married, huh? Oh, I'm making sure I'm going to be there, giving the guy who went off book like, and then walked off. And then he was like, darling, isn't it great? We're going to be married. And then they got him back on to what it should have been. But after they got off stage, like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, you guys fucking drinking on set? So, yeah, it can happen. But thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Are you an Islanders fan?
I'm Daniel Bryan, the American Dragon.
Oh, right on, man. Right on. It's just because I'm a hockey fan and the Islanders have absconded with that yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, a lot of teams have adapted my catchphrase. The Giants are one of them. So the movie The Godfather debuted today in 1972, and I was just wondering if you've seen it and what do you think about it?
I have not. Yeah. Like the original Godfather?
The original Godfather.
Oh,
yes.
that I have. Yeah, yeah. I thought you said the third Godfather, because I was like, yeah. After the second one, I was like, okay, all right. Like the original Godfather, masterpiece, genius. It was the first time the American and the world saw into like the in-depth goings of what a mob family would be like in a believable way, as opposed to, you know, just, hey, he, she, I'm going to hold you up, but I'm going to get you, she. Like Edward G. Robinson kind of gangsters to me was always like, that's comical. I laughed more at those kind of gangster movies than when the shit hit the fan with The Godfather. Plus, he was coming off of doing, you know, such other amazing films before that. So I was a fan of the first two. The third one I never did see. And people say you didn't miss much when I hear the third one, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are you related? You look like you could be part of the Pacino, Scorsese, any of that kind of family. You have the look, like you have a very Pacino look to you.
I can't reveal that information.
All right. Oh. Right on, man. But your shirt tells me yes, yes, yes. All right.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hey, how you doing? My name's Joe.
Hey, Joe. I signed something for you earlier.
Yeah, you
right
did.
on.
I appreciate the hell out of that. Glad you mentioned hockey. I've always wondered this. It's, you know, a silly question, but it's always been in my mind. The famous rooftop hockey scene. You're rocking a Pittsburgh Penguins jersey. Are you like an actual Pittsburgh Penguins fan, or was that just random prop? Or
So the question was, in the first movie, speaking of hockey, I see that you wore a Pittsburgh Penguins jersey in the hockey scene on the roof. Actually, I'm a lifelong New York Rangers fan.
Okay.
I was a season ticket holder for like 5 years, in the past couple of years. And the day that we were shooting that scene, I couldn't find my Rangers jersey at my mom's house because I would take my laundry over there, because I was living with friends off campus of Rutgers. We rented a house, and the scene that you see where I fall out of the closet in the beginning, but also the dog is laying on my bed, and then also the dog drinking the water out of the toilet. That was the house that me and my friends rented off campus. And so I couldn't find my jersey. I don't know what my mother had done with it. She was not in the house at the time. I don't know if she had it in a different laundry bag or whatever. So I couldn't find it. And I didn't want to be late to set, because that was one thing I've always been, is I'm fucking punctual as fuck. I don't like to keep people waiting for anything. So I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get down to set, because I lived an hour away from where I lived in New Brunswick to where the store is in Leonardo. It was about an hour drive, give or take, depending on traffic. And so I showed up, and he's like, hey, you got your jersey? I'm like, dude, I couldn't find my jersey. He's like, oh, well, we just have these left. And he pointed over to the table of the jerseys. He's like, which one do you want? Now, the CCCP, the Russian jersey, was still on the table. I'm like, ooh, I'll take that one. He's like, no, that's specifically for Randall. I'm like, oh, all right. So then it was the New Jersey Devils or the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I, as a Ranger fan, I was like, fuck the Devils. And Yager and Mario Lemieux and those cats, that year, the 93 Pittsburgh Penguins, if you look it up, that roster was fucking killer. And I respected their game. So I was like, I'll take the Penguins jersey then. And so that's what I rocked. I would have, but if you go to the DVDs and watch the music video, Can't Even Tell by Soul Asylum, we were part of the music video where we play hockey on the roof against Soul Asylum. I'm finally wearing my New York Rangers jersey. So that's how that happened. Funny side story to that is anytime I'm in Pittsburgh, fucking I get drinks bought to me all the time because they think I'm some Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and I'm not. Like, we just beat them twice a couple of days ago, and there's one person I can't stand, and I credit his skill. He's a skilled player, but I can't stand Cindy Crosby. So thank you. And yes, I said Cindy. That's true. Just because, you know, I think he's a big fucking whiny baby. But he gives it his all to last this long in his career and to still play the level of game he has. I give credit where credit's due, but I still fucking can't stand that cat.
Awesome, dude. Thanks.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, John from Richmond. Quick question.
Sorry for 1 second. And oddly enough, look at the fucking cuddlers fucking Kevin picks for the jerseys. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, not a problem. If you had the dream opportunity to play any character in Star Wars, Star Trek, superhero, what franchise would you pick, and what character would you love to have the opportunity to be?
So the question is, out of any of the franchises out there, Star Wars, Star Trek, MCU, DC, what dream role would I want to play, and in what universe? I've said this in other interviews, just because this was the first universe that influenced me to do something, and which was the Star Wars universe. Now, granted, I watched the reruns in New York City on Channel 11 of Star Trek all the time. Big ups to the people who are in this building, as a matter of fact, who started it all. But the one universe that I felt like, I want to be a part of is the Star Wars universe, you know. And I've said, and I have, literally, I could connect to people who do the Mandalorian stuff. Like, I have like 3 phone calls. I could probably get in touch with, you know, certain people in that production and be like, oh, can I please do this, blah, blah, blah. But I don't do that. But I just hope that they somehow, like, you know who we need? We need someone like an O'Halloran here, you know? Like, even if I'm just some stupid bullshit fucking clerk in a Coruscant fucking pseudo-convenience store. And I don't know, fucking bring back whoever to be like, hey, could I have 20 fucking blah, blah, blahs? I'm like, God damn it, you know, I'm not even supposed to work today. And then just hand it to them or something. Or even a stormtrooper who, like, they're on watch somewhere and they're just, you know how they talk, they're like, I can't believe they put us on this watch. You're telling me this? I'm not even supposed to be on patrol today. Oh, you're going to start that again? Well, hell with you. Come on, you know, DANTY 2248, you know. Something in Star Wars I would just love. Not because I want an action figure, because there is a Dante action figure now, but only just because that was a world as a kid. You know, I was 7 years old when the Star Wars came out, and I was just like, oh my God. I mean, so much so that when we came back from seeing the original Star Wars, I have 2 older brothers, one that's 6 years and one 9 years older to me. I would tell them like, when I'm about to drive, I'm gonna have a land speeder. I'm 54 fucking years old. Where the hell's my land speeder? Literally, you just got to get it off the ground this far. How tough could it be? So that would be it. As part of a role, yeah, like I could shoot for the moon. It's like, I want to be a Jedi. Like, good for Ahmed Best in the last episode of Mandalorian, coming back as a Jedi. Yeah, if you've read the articles that have been in the trades this week, you know, he was, after playing Jar Jar Binks, he slipped into a major depression because everybody hated Jar Jar Binks and the kind of tones it kind of inferred, and he was on the point of committing suicide from what the story tells. And to see him come back and fucking not only be a Jedi, but a fucking dual saber-wielding, double-sided catching, you know, throwing back blasters at people, just good on him, and congratulations. I just saw him a couple of months ago at Colorado Springs Comic-Con, and what a good dude, and fucking ripped as well, man. Like, I'd be like, yo, Miso not gonna fuck with you, you know. He's a good guy, so glad to see that. So something like that. If I could be a fucking Jedi of some sort, that'd be awesome. I mean, what's his name? The comic who was in the Obi-Wan series, who then was like the fake Jedi. Yeah, he was really cool in it as well. So you never know. I'll put the word out there if they're watching. If you're watching this on the Streamcast, hey man, make me a Jedi.
Right back there, like right.
Make me a Jedi. Come on, let's do it. Let's get this done.
Thank you.
How's it going? Jesse from Virginia, Newport News. So I watched Clerks 3 here in Richmond with
Right on.
Kevin Smith, the pre-screening. And how does it feel to, or what are your thoughts playing a character from Clerks 1 to 3, like knowing that you're going to touch so many people in the end? Because my father had the same heart attack that Kevin did, and he also was a clerk for many years
Wow.
at a gas station. So y'all's movie was very relatable to me, and I
Right on.
cried in that movie. So how does like make you feel to like touch people like in that way?
First of all, how's your dad?
Oh, he's good now.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to hear. When Kevin first came to us with the Clerks 3 script, the first Clerks 3 script actually was a lot darker. It had nothing to do with a heart attack. It had nothing to do with things, but there were dark elements to it. We've only had 2 actual readings in front of a public audience, and that was a fundraiser for that theater that I'd worked out of. We're going to do a cruise in February. If you go to cruiseaskew.com, we've launched in February. We're going to sail from Miami to the Bahamas for a 4-day cruise, and we're going to do a reading of that dark Clerks 3 script again on that cruise. But that being said, I knew that Kevin wanted to put some serious tones into the third episode, so to speak, of the Clerks franchise. So that when that version didn't get made, due to, like I said earlier, there were producers involved that we didn't want involved, and Jeff wasn't really on board. And even this, it was really too dark even for me to be like, ooh, I don't know if I want to do this version. That being said, years later, Kevin then approached it with it after his heart attack to throw in these elements to these guys, which happens to every day. You'll hear people and friends, especially people of my age now, who are having these types of issues. Where you reevaluate your lifestyle and your life and who your friends are and what's important to you and family and things like that. So when Kevin wrote that into this script, I was just like, wow, you really dug into your own personal trials of your battle with your heart attack and trying to losing weight and stuff like that, and put it into this. And when he gave it to me and Jeff, when we both read it, we were like, now this is a story we can relate to. It really happened to Kevin. While the first version of Clerks 3, it never happened to him. He's never involved in some of the dark elements that, it'll come out eventually as to what it was about. It was a made-up story, while this was more of like writing from what he experienced. So knowing where the Dante character's arc was finishing in this film, I just decided, like, well, fuck it. I have nothing to lose in this, like, seriously. So I'm just going to put all my effort into this script 100%. And so for 6-7 months, I just devoured the script and got into the tone of what it should have been again. And then we went into it. Kevin tells this story about our first script read of the script. We're at this house that they were renting. It's 2 weeks before we start filming. And he wanted to punch up some of the things. So Kevin's sitting at the head of a table with his laptop. Jeff, Jay, who then left, he was like, I don't have to be here. I know how to play Jay. So he took off. Austin Zazier, who plays Blockchain, Trevor Furman, and myself, and Jen Schwalbach was sitting in the living room listening in, and she'd do her scene from the couch. And we went through the scenes, and as we got to the end of the movie, now Dante's dialogue stops about 10 pages before the end of the movie. And so as we're getting close to where I have the last major bit of my dialogue, I closed my script because at that point I know where I was going with it. And Kevin looks up from his laptop and he looks around over the other guys, and in his head he's like, oh shit, I think we're in for something. And then I do that last scene that I do in the movie before other events happen. And I did it like maybe 80% of what you see on camera. And they were like, yo, whoa, where's this coming from? And Jeff turns to Kevin and is like, do we have to be like that? Like, by now? He's like, no. But he knew then that I had put in the work, and I was proud to put in the work, and I'm glad that I've been able to leave this And now I come to these shows and people are like, fuck you, you made me cry, you fucker. And I'm like, thank you. If you didn't, then you wouldn't have cared. If someone just went, oh, well, that's sad, too bad. Then I'd be like, wow, all these years you didn't care about the guy? That sucks. I know we're getting the signal here.
I appreciate it so much.
Thank you for the question.
All right, cool. So we got our last question here. No pressure.
Oh, good. I love pressure. Okay. Hi, Nick from Virginia Beach.
What's up, Nick from Virginia Beach?
Bryan, love you and everything I've seen you in from, Vulgar,
Oh, Vulgar, good
love
choice.
Vulgar. It's not for everybody, but man.
No, it's not a date movie. Yeah. It's
Yeah. So, and by the way, I see you as a love interest of Ahsoka somewhere since you and Rosario
shit.
were already a thing.
I'll buy that for $1.
Little Easter egg. But I love seeing you start out in Clerks, basically, professional stage actors, but relatively new to the screen. So it's amateur screen actors coming up, and you go into Mallrats attracting bigger talent, and it keeps snowballing until we get up to Dogma with Rickman coming in. But it's always this mix of, new talent, senior talent. I love to see that. When you get to something like Clerks 2, Rosario comes in, but Trevor Furman, fairly new to the scene. Like, what level of professionalism do you hold the donkey to?
There's always one. So he's referring, for those who haven't seen Clerks 2. In Clerks 2, there is a throwback to an Oscar award-winning actor's film called Bachelor Party, which was an 80s movie. If you haven't seen it, it's with Tom Hanks, and there's a donkey show involved. So anyway, we kind of replicate that scene in Clerks 2. Funny enough, that donkey was brought to set as the old Burger King that we were utilizing in Buena Park, California, just south of LA in Orange County, right near Knott's Berry Farms amusement park. They were painting the exterior purple and yellow and building what is the movies that you see in the movie. But they brought the donkey in and set it in a small little corral in the back of the movie, back of the movies. So I could imagine someone living, because it was in a residential neighborhood, I could someone going to work every day, going to work and seeing people working on the Burger King, the old Burger King, and then coming back and reporting home and be like, hey, honey, something's going on at the old Burger King. I think they're bringing some other some other burger joint. And then the next day they go about work and come back and be like, they painted it out there, and that's like purple and yellow. What chain is that? Is that I don't know what it is. And then, they finally have the movies name up like, oh, honey, it's some sort of, but it looks like there's a corral out the back. And then they come back, and the next day, like, they put a donkey back. I don't know what kind of burger joint's going on at this place, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to be eating there. But, so they got the donkey comfortable. It was a female, and its name, and I'm shitting you not, this was the name of it, Asphalt. Like the road, asphalt. Not ass crack, not asphalt, but asphalt. So, sweetheart. She was such a sweetheart. And we brought her in, and everybody had to be quiet in the beginning. Like, we didn't play the music around it, but Zach, who was the sexy stud, is dancing around it, and it was a very well-trained donkey, and it's a sweetheart of a donkey. But yeah, the whole, the scene of where he spits in his hand and stuff, it's just which was just a total stolen scene from Brokeback Mountain. It was those type of things I don't think we can get away with today in movies. There'd be protests from whatever, even though no animals were harmed or touched for that matter. But it was definitely a night where I think to myself, sitting back while they're doing subs, what am I doing for a living? Clerks 2, hands down, and this is the last question, so I'll wrap this up. Clerks 2 was the most fun I've ever had on a film because every day was something different. One day we're at a go-kart track all day long. One of my favorite things in real life to do. So much so that when they asked us to break for lunch, I said, I'm good, I'm fat enough, I'm just going to stay in the car. And I did, and I just tool around in it. Another day we're doing a dance routine where a whole parking lot of dancers who rehearsed for like 2 weeks solid in a union, like a Veterans of Foreign Wars Union Hall was next to us, and they were dancing in there and rehearsing. And I remember we would take our lunches and just decide to eat in their rehearsal space as they were all like dancing, like, oh, she's cute, you know, that kind of thing. And then I get to dance with Rosario on a roof. That's another day. Another day I'm actually making out with Kevin's real fucking wife. Talk about awkward. Bob, I want you to come into work today, and I want my wife to straddle you while you're on an actual swing, and you guys make out while I film you. Your paycheck's in the mail. Like, you don't have a job that does that, you know? And then another one is like we're watching a donkey show one day, and then the other day is like Rosario Dawson climbs through a car window and straddles and kisses me. Like every day was something like, I can't believe I'm getting paid for this. This is awesome. So that was the most fun I've ever had, and the donkey scene is something that will live on forever. And then, like I said, would we ever go through, like even doing the scene with Wanda Sykes and Earthquake about Porch Monkey, like, yo, that was 11 minutes, by the way, of the two of them just improvising. Just totally improvising. It was genius because we're sitting behind the camera as they're rattling it, all, like just going off and stuff, and we're just like. And Kevin says cut, and we're like. Oh my God! And you can see, I think in the deleted scenes extras, they give you the whole 11 minutes uncut on it, so it's worth a watch.
I don't know where we can go after talking about donkeys. So on that note, I think we're going to wrap up for today. Please give it up for Mr. Bryan O'Halloran.
Give it up for Milo, everybody.